Welcome to Base Body and Beyond on Marth and the Machines, a series dedicated to giving you insight on a particular model on as many levels as possible. This particular installment is dedicated to Kommandant Gurvaldt Irusk of khadoran. Enjoy! Gurvaldt Irusk is a very important figure within khadoran and an iconic character within War Machine at large to me. He represents khadoran's military might and superiority in waging war. You could go as far as to say that he is the personification of war. Actually, the first line of his background in the Forces of War Machine khadoran book reads, "Gurvaldt Irusk was born to make war." This man has orchestrated the invasion of Lael and the siege of Northgard. You can't talk about khadoran without mentioning Kommandant Irusk. Irusk is one of the casters that got an alternate sculpt with the advent of Mark II, but I prefer the classic model. It has that concerned look of a commander standing at the back watching things unfold, which is just what he does. The fact that he holds his weapon more or less loosely behind his back transmits an awesome amount of confidence, even though you sometimes think he's probably just rocking on his heels. The resculpt has, in my eyes, way too bulky armor for a rather squishy caster, and the pose seems to catch an arm movement in the middle of its execution. And the weapon appears inappropriately oversized. But that is a question of taste. I'm not a fan of the overwhelming bright red, so I had mine painted in a military green scheme with grey coats. But next let's elaborate on his in-game performance. Irusk's stat line is rather average, and with his defense armor values, he counts as one of khadoran's squishier casters, even though he sports an above average amount of hit points. His most outstanding stat is his command value of 10, which means that any model within 10 inches of him can use this value for moral checks, which generally means that you won't have to worry too much about any of your troops running away. He sports two weapons, or rather two weapons in one, the sword cannon onslaught, which does give him some decent ranged assassination potential of his own when keeping in mind that Irusk has a sword, and that the gun has a rate of fire of 2, which can be a very nasty surprise. He also has quick work, but as that requires him to be in melee, using it either means that you managed to set up a beneficial situation or that something went really ugly, or both. His spellist, however, is what really makes him one of khadoran's top casters. He has Airburst, a line of sight ignoring powerful AoE spell that ignores most defense bony. He has his signature spell Battlelust, which turns a friendly faction unit fearless and makes them deal more damage in melee. Then there's Grind, which is a powerful single target attack spell that works best against warjacks. And there's the renowned Inhospitable Ground, which turns his large control area into rough terrain and can thus be used to ensure yourself the first strike. He also has Iron Flash, khadoran's prime troop buff spell, which empowers friendly warriors or raises Irusk's own defense to 18. And finally Superiority, one of the best jack buffs upkeeps in the game, which gives bony to speed, mat and defense and greatly enhances khadoran's warjacks. His feat, Undying Loyalty, is probably the reason why he's considered a trooper caster first and foremost, as it turns all friendly faction warriors in his control area into super troopers, which hit better and die a lot harder. This stacks very nicely with the fact that khadoran's infantry choices are among the best in War Machine. Combined with Iron Flash, his feat creates awesome tar pits and with Battlelust very dangerous attackers, and both in the same turn. And next I'll talk a little about his weaknesses. Irusk is not exactly the type of caster that can manhandle games himself. He needs his army to do that, so he's mostly a buff bot, negatively speaking. He cannot make his troops go faster or hit better aside from the feat turn. And things that deny him his focus or simply strip off his upkeeps will cause him fits, as will concentrated infantry removal. That said, for a caster that is as squishy as he is, he has to be quite uncomfortably close to the front line. Keep an eye out for him when there are a lot of AoEs coming his way too, as he likes to spend his focus. Irusk goes well with almost any army composition aside from Mangled Metal games where he has only superiority and his focus to play around with. As for troopers, you might think the more the merrier, but that isn't necessarily true. He likes one or two warjacks, preferably focus efficient ones. His very special friends among troopers are the Kayasi assassins with underboss, who like Iron Flash until they hit the enemy lines, and then they like Battlelust when they go for their key target. Since he heavily invests in his troopers through buffs, he can also make assault commandos and their wicked number of attacks really shine. And finally, something on his theme list. I'll try to comment as good as I can, not having played it myself. It is a mixed warfare list, but it does lack respectable shooting. The tiers seem to be geared at getting the drop on your enemy, though fielding 2 Iron Fang pikemen and 2 man-of-war units is definitely awkward. Still, all tiers seem viable, even though you probably get the most out of the first tier already. On tournament level, Irusk is probably one of our best, if not the best, casters, since he can put the performance of khadoran models through the roof, and with his feat as well as the inhospitable ground spell shine in scenario play, second only to the Old Witch of Khadoran. But that is a caster better dealt with in another base, body and beyond issue. Be sure to check out the other base, body and beyond review done by the Tabletop Gamers. As for further issues on Marth and the Machines, I have 2 prime candidates, Alexandra Zarkova or Beast09. The next Marth and the Machines issue, however, will be another battle report, pitting a man who treats everything like a nail against a man treating everything like a tree. That and a lot of robot action. And until then, farewell.